A dreadful island captured by the fiercest sharks. Paradise for cats and rabbits. A place with a number of birds being thousands more than that of people, and much more. In this episode, I'll show you the most unusual places in the world that were captured and congested by animals. Shark Island. Not far from Madagascar and Mauritius in the Indian Ocean, Reunion Island is situated. Purely visually, it looks like a real paradise location. It's similar to both Mauritius and Madagascar, and weather conditions there are also semblable. Except that if on Mauritius people can quietly rest and swim in warm water, then on Reunion many locals, as well as tourists, are afraid of even coming closer to water. The island lures sharks like a magnet. Caution boards stand there, whereas in water they stretch nets to secure tourists and predatory fish. But this doesn't help. Sharks frequently attack. Interestingly, more than half of them have a tragic outcome. There are even maps with the information about where sharks attack. As you can see, literally the whole coastline is marked with red points, so you can hardly relax there. In the recent 30 years, the probability that sharks would assault on Reunion increased 23 times. These are mostly bull sharks that attack, the most fierce and unscrupulous among all those toothy predators. Scientists try to find out, however they still don't understand what attracts sharks there, why they literally captured the island, and why they closed it on. According to one version, the reason consists in the excessive fishing that makes sharks forage for food by the coastline. Another version says that Reunion is surrounded by murky waters, and sharks attack people accidentally, taking them for their prey. Anyway, whatever the reason may be, it's better to just rest and sunbathe, not entering the water. There are other places captured by animals, but luckily they're always dangerous. Consider Christmas Island, for example. It's located in the Indian Ocean. It's situated more to the east, and it belongs to Australia. As a whole, this island is simple, and it's painted red. Don't be afraid, it's not because of blood, but because of local red crabs. According to some calculations, there are from 40 to 50 million specimens. In addition, there are just a little bit more than 1,500 people on it. It turns out that almost 35,000 crabs are attributed to each of them. As the rain season begins, crabs crawl out of rainforests and they move to the coastline to reproduce. The road is not short. They spend about 3 weeks to get over the distance. All the way long, it's not possible to normally go by or ride. Crabs are literally everywhere, including roads. Not to crush them, local people even invented a special appliance for cars. Something like scoops that accurately clear the way in front of drivers, not injuring crabs. In spite of all the measures and carefulness, many crabs still get injured. Unfortunately, it's inevitable. Those are males that come to the shore and females follow them. After mating, males come back to the forest and they leave females so that they may lay eggs in the sea. This is where young eggs develop and they then turn into small crabs. A month later, they go to their brethren to the forest, and in the next season, they'll fill the island. Monte Cristo. I think that absolutely all of you have heard this name. Everything is due to Alexandre Dumas and his novel The Count of Monte Cristo about his escape from prison and the treasure of Monte Cristo Island. I don't know if Edmond Dantes would go to this island today. After all, it's teemed with black rats. This Italian island, in fact, was uninhabited, and it's related not only to people. It's full of rodents. According to very modest calculations, there is a rat for each square meter. However, it's impossible to confirm that because no one permanently lives on the island. It's more likely that rats ended up there on boats and ships that brought tourists. Anyway, Monte Cristo is a rather popular tourist destination because of the famous novel. They overlooked something went out of control, and rodents multiplied there. It'd be a different matter if they lived and if they didn't make problems, but no. The invasion of rodents inflicted a huge damage to the ecological system of the island. Millions of pest rodents can potentially seize the island completely. That's why more than 10 years ago, the government planned to fight against them by radical ways, including poisonous granules up to 30 tons that they wanted to dissipate from the air. It's not known if this kind of bombardment worked out, but as it seems to me, it was not completely. Soon you'll understand why. Gowth Island. This is what another island is called. It's located in the Atlantic Ocean in real thickets. It belongs to the archipelago of Tristan da Cunha, one of the most distant points on the globe. To the south of the island, Antarctica is situated. That's why many would suppose that Gowth Island is the habitat of penguins or seals. However, we're talking about rodents again, this time mice. This story is similar to that of Monte Cristo. In the 19th century, people accidentally brought mice on their ship during an expedition. Though there were no animals on the island who hunted them, they instantly proliferated, and they started to feel local kings. What's more, mice started to eat eggs of seabirds that used Gowth Island as a staging post. They attacked chicks, and they even pounced on adult albatrosses. The government of England counted 700,000 mice on the island, and they decided to eradicate the pests. Several years ago, a huge amount of chemicals was dissipated, and mice seemed to be removed. But a little bit later, people learned that some rodents survived. Now, do you understand why the bombardment of Monte Cristo with chemicals could have failed? Mice on Gowth can proliferate and multiply again. It's far from a fact that the government will decide to organize an expedition to this remote area in order to intoxicate rodents. On the other hand, seabirds have several years to rest. Generally, you could have done everything otherwise, and you could have brought several hundreds of cats to Gowth. They wouldn't have had to use chemicals. Cats would have quickly solved the problem of rodents, and they would have founded their own colony. Maybe people didn't do this so as to not create a third cat's island. Yes, there is one, and this is the Japanese island of Aoshima, the real paradise for cat lovers. There are 10 times more cats than people. So you can say for sure that this island is under the capable observation and control. Needless to say, everything worked out exactly that way because Aoshima teamed with mice. It was in the time of World War II. Rodents bothered local fishermen, and they decided to make use of precious services of these fluffy creatures. Cats quickly cleared the island, and they remained there to live. The most attentive of you noticed that a little bit early I said a third cat's island. That's the case. If they had brought cats to Gowth, it would be a third island captured by these fluffy creatures. For now, there are 2 of them. A second one is located in Japan. This is Tashirojima Island. It's another place where authorities keep these creatures. There are more of them on the island than people. Cats roam everywhere. They encounter tourists in the harbor, they climb them, and so on. It's more than love. Cats are honored there. Firstly, for their valiant fight against rats in the past. Secondly, for the fact that the notorious tsunami of 2011 hardly influenced Tashirojima. Many locals are sure that this is the merit of cats that drew the luck. Okunoshima. As you've understood, we're still in Japan. Obviously, this country was captured not only by technologies but also by animals. And a third island proves this one again. You won't find cats, they're banned in Okunoshima. On the other hand, there are plenty of rabbits there. This is exactly why, by the way, cats are not allowed on the island, as well as dogs. Otherwise, these predators would have instantly mowed down the eared creatures. After all, rabbits are not predators. They couldn't have been brought there so that they would have coped with pests. Why are there so many of them? They still argue. Some are sure that everything happened after a school tour in 1971. School children brought several rabbits, as they're famous for their reproductive ability. They proliferated there quickly and they conquered the island. Others consider that local rabbits are descendants of animals that Japanese people used to carry out dreadful experiments during World War II. Be that as it may, today these creatures are not threatened. They care for them thoroughly, they feed them, and they pamper them, to such an extent that rabbits have relaxed. They can prosecute a person that's just fed them to ask for more. As a whole, they're not afraid of people, and they've become nearly tame, though they are wild by nature. After all, it's an advantage, isn't it? Can we find a nicer place than the island conquered by rabbits or cats? It's not a simple task, at least there's a competitor. That's another island, this time named Rot's Nest. It's located in West Australia. This is one of the little Australian places with nice fauna. A huge amount of quokkas dwell there. This is a relative of quokkas. It's a relative of kangaroos. However, in contrast to them, it's far from muscular and big. Quokka's about 1.5 feet long, and it weighs 10 pounds at the most. Quokkas are not afraid of humans at all. They're very curious, and they often let people come close to them. Though you don't have to ask them about it, you'll want to approach this nice creature. Quokka is a real bun from the animal world. You cannot but fall in love with its smile. By the way, it appears when the beast relaxes its jaw muscles and it stops chewing. Unfortunately, not so many quokkas are left in wild nature. The species is considered a vulnerable one. Everything is in order with them on Rottnest Island. There are no predators there that hunt these smiling creatures. That's why quokkas enjoy. They prosper, and they accept tourists as guests with pleasure. Aldabra. Try to guess which animal conquered the place with this name. Maybe this place teems with lizards or snakes. Neither one nor another. It'll be about reptiles. Aldabra is an atoll in the Indian Ocean that belongs to the Seychelles, though I personally would say that it belongs to turtles. The Seychelles giant turtles dwell here, one of the biggest among all their land brethren. Hardly anyone lives on the island on a permanent basis. On the bright side, there is plenty of turtles there. According to calculations, there are more than 150,000 of them there. The species is considered a vulnerable one. That's why local turtles are thoroughly guarded to prevent them from dying out. In the previous century, even the project on a huge airbase placement was turned down. If that would have happened, giant turtles would be considered extinct now. By the way, Aldabra giant tortoises stand out for their longevity. They can live up to 150 years. Some of them break records. For example, a male named Jonathan. At the moment, it's considered one of the oldest animals on the planet. It's more likely that it's the oldest one among the land ones. It's some 200 years old, but it does quite well. Truth be told, it lives not on its native land, but on St. Helena Island, where it's looked after and cared for. As a rule, when one or another place was conquered by animals, those were creatures of one species that did that. Some crabs, sharks, turtles, and so on. Everyone saw that. Things also happen that the place is conquered by animals of different animal species. This is what happened with Runde, a Norwegian island. It's also called Birds Island. If there are about a little bit more than 100 locals, then there are some 500 to 700,000 birds. You can see razorbills, skuas, cormorants, northern fulmars. At the same time, the population of Atlantic puffins is the biggest there, with about 100,000 couples. It's not surprising that portraits of puffins are presented almost in each flyer dedicated to the island. Many people come there to see this unusual bird. The majority of birds nest on rocks. They're not afraid of people. They often appear in front of tourists, and they stop somewhere by their legs. Do you want to go there on a tour? Write in the comments. Kauai. This is what an island on Hawaii is called. What do we know about Hawaii? Basically, people know that there are volcanoes there and that surfing is widespread on the island. Did you know that Hawaii is a place conquered by hens? At least, it's exactly what it looks like on Kauai. There are many of them there. The birds freely walk around the island, they go out to the roads, they feed together with people, and they feel maximum comfortable and in the royal way. After all, a hen is a spread product. But why were these Hawaii feathered creatures not caught or sent to bird factories? Because this doesn't make sense. It's considered that hens appeared on Hawaii with the first wave of the Polynesian colonists some 2,000 years ago. They lived freely for a long time until modern breeds of hens were brought there. In the course of time, wild Hawaii hens were crossed with those domestic ones. This way, they got a peculiar hybrid with hard meat. It's not good for eating. That's why they don't touch hens on Kauai. Though many can think that it would be worthy, hens are too cheeky, hens destroy grass, they tear away leaves, they make a lot of noise, and they annoy people. Almost all of them seem to be satisfied. Many like local hens. Tourists come here to personally have a look at one of the most unusual places on the planet. I think I would not be mistaken if I say that many would like to go to a remote, warm place to have a rest under palms, to swim in crystal clear water, and just not care about anything in this life. For now, this is an unrealized dream, whereas it's real for pigs. Not to everybody, of course, but only for those who dwell on the Bohemian island of Big Major Clay. You can see a huge amount of feral domestic pigs that live the best life. There are so many pigs there that the island was even renamed into Pig Beach. It's still unknown how this happened that pigs conquered the land. According to one version, it's where a sailor of one of the ships left them to take them and eat on the way back. However, that ship didn't come back to the island, and a colony was found there that's prosperous until now. There's also a third version, according to which pigs were brought there specially to attract tourists to the island. If it's so, the idea worked out. People come here to look at relishing pigs, to feed them, and to take an unforgettable swim with them. Sharks. Africa is not only hot deserts, bush, and muddy bodies of water, but also the seas and oceans that surround it. Of course, sharks reign there. The most dangerous place in this regard is off the coast of South Africa. It has one of the highest concentrations of predatory sharks on the planet, which regularly attack swimmers, divers, and surfers. In recent years, this area has become known as Shark Alley. The situation in Egypt is not particularly good either. This country is recognized as one of the major resorts in the world, but you don't want to swim in the local waters knowing that there are bloodthirsty sharks. Take, for example, the infamous city of Hurghada. In July this year, in a single day, there were 2 fatal shark attacks in front of shocked tourists. Even African rivers are not safe. Even here you can come across sharks, bull sharks that live in fresh water and freely navigate the rapids of rivers. These aggressive predators hold the river fauna at bay and even attack huge hippos. Lion. 3 dangerous species of big cats can be found in Africa: the cheetah, the leopard, and the lion. Of these, the cheetah is considered less dangerous. Although it's very fast, it's not very large. The leopard is very dangerous, but these cats live alone. Lions pose the greatest danger because the kings of the jungle live in numerous prides. They also hunt in prides. Of course, the primary targets of lions are other animals, but humans can also fall victim to the dangerous big cat. Mostly the males want humans. A lion often manages to kill only one person in a lifetime, but history knows cases of full-fledged man-eating lions that sent people to Kingdom Come by whole groups. For example, in the 1930s and 1940s, in Tanzania, the whole pride of aggressive and bloodthirsty man-eating lions operated. And during the whole time, they killed at least 1,500 people. Do not underestimate these big cats. You shouldn't even try to get close to them and stroke them. They bite much more painfully and fiercer than your domestic cat. Buffalo. Even though the African buffalo is another herbivore in this episode, it should not be underestimated. This is not a harmless domestic bull, but a real killer. It's not for nothing that the locals call it the Black Death. It regularly attacks people and animals, and in general, its appearance and behavior say how angry it is with everyone. Unlike its Asian relative, the African buffalo has never been domesticated. It's all about its unpredictable temperament. Because of it, it can't be a reliable and safe farm animal. These giants with sharp horns are ruthless. Experts call them the most dangerous animals of the African Big Five game, which in addition to buffalo includes the elephant, the rhino, the leopard, and the lion. This is why hunters often try to kill buffaloes, and this is why you should stay away from these African bulls. And finally, a little bonus. Africa's deadliest animal. Actually, not just Africa's, but the whole world's deadliest animal. Surprisingly, it's not a huge hippo, an angry crocodile, or even a toothy shark, but a tiny mosquito. More precisely, the malarial mosquito. It cannot be called an aggressive creature, but its lethality is beyond belief. According to the World Health Organization statistics, every year there are over 200 million cases of malaria in the world, and more than 500,000 people die from this disease. Africa accounts for over 95% of all cases, which makes malarial mosquitoes the most vicious killers of the continent. The good news is that scientists are working on a vaccine for malaria, and the disease could disappear for good in the foreseeable future. And now I'll tell you about one of the most dangerous crocodiles in the world. Another interesting fact about saltwater crocodiles is their body structure. They have a relatively wide and massive torso, due to which they were formerly called alligators. As it turned out later, scientists were wrong because these creatures are real crocodiles. By the way, do you know the difference between alligators and crocodiles? What they have in common is the crocodilians order, to which they belong, but they have a different appearance, jaws, as well as range and habitat. Crocodiles are larger than alligators, and they have a narrower and longer snout. Also, when the crocodile's jaw is closed, a large fourth tooth on the lower jaw is visible. In alligators, the upper jaw closes these teeth. Crocodiles are common in Africa, Asia, America, and Australia. Alligators are found only in America and China. Finally, some crocodiles, like saltwater crocodiles, are adapted to live in saltwater, while alligators live only in freshwater. I suggest that we not stop there and delve more into the world of crocodiles. Keep watching to see the world's smallest, most harmless, rarest, and most unusual crocodile. Dwarf crocodile. Since the main part of the episode was devoted to the largest crocodile in the world, it would be right to tell you about the smallest crocodile. The broad-snouted or dwarf crocodile is a real tiny creature. You can pick it up, and in some footage it looks like it's just a baby of a large crocodile. But no, this is an adult that rarely grows to more than 5 feet in length. This reptile weighs about 44 to 66 pounds. It lives in West Africa. In contrast to the fearless saltwater crocodile, the dwarf crocodile is a rather timid animal. It mostly eats fish, crustaceans, amphibians, snails, and carrion, swallowing a prey whole. It's physically impossible for it to tear it into pieces. For this reason, and because of its size, the dwarf crocodile is not dangerous to humans. Gharial. And this toothy creature is even less dangerous. The gharial from Hindustan is a unique and very interesting animal. First of all, it has very unusual appearance. It has a very narrow and long muzzle, due to which the jaws of the gharial resemble a saw. Secondly, the gharial is very large and only slightly behind the saltwater crocodile. Males can grow up to 20 feet in length. Thirdly, in Nepal and India, the gharial is considered a sacred animal. But the most surprising thing is that the gharial is safe for humans. It can bite in very rare cases. On the contrary, it was the people themselves who always caused these reptiles a lot of trouble. First of all, their leather was valued, from which all sorts of things were made. Asian pharmacists paid a lot of money for various parts of the animal's body, and restaurateurs paid a lot of money for the eggs to make gourmet dishes. As a result, the gharial is now on the verge of extinction. Just like this creature, the Philippine crocodile is considered by many to be the rarest on the planet. Currently, this amazing creature lives exclusively in the Philippines, and the population of the entire species does not exceed 200 individuals. As always, people are to blame, who illegally hunt these reptiles and also destroy their habitat for their own selfish purposes. Most likely, very soon the species will become completely extinct. And lastly, let's take a look at the most unusual crocodile on the planet, a white crocodile. More precisely, a white alligator. These are periodically born in the United States. In addition to the fact that these creatures are unusual, they are extremely rare. It's believed that there are only 12 such alligators in the world. Their unique coloration is a result of leucism, in which only a small part of the animal's skin is colored and the eyes are blue. There are also albino alligators. There are only a few dozen of them in the world. Like white alligators with leucism, albinos live only in zoos and on farms. Despite all their power and considerable size, they simply wouldn't survive in the wild. First, their white color makes them more visible to top predators, and second, their skin is very susceptible to sunburn. Is it possible to see a hybrid between a zebra and a rhinoceros? Later on, I'll tell you about the rarest animal hybrids. Zebra. Have you ever wondered what two completely different and dissimilar animals would look like? Something like a cross between a zebra and a hippo? They'd be called zebras, and they'd look something like this. It's not my sick fantasy. It's how the artificial intelligence portrayed this hybrid to us. Well, it's pretty cool, actually. It's quite harmonious and unusual. From the zebra, the zebra will take a camouflage color and high running speed, and from the hippo, it will take self-confidence, a huge mouth, and great strength. Would you like this unusual creature to really be found somewhere? Let me know in the comments. Savannah. The cat with such an unusual name is the result of intercourse between a long-eared serval with a cheetah coat and a domestic cat. Incredible love of the African wild cat to civilized cat happened, of course, not without human participation. The result was predictable but not so unambiguous. The resulting cat is very graceful and neat. Its height varies from 12 to 24 inches. These cats weigh up to 33 pounds. Their head has a slightly triangular shape. In terms of character, these beauties are extremely extraordinary. They combine the independence of a savage and dog-like affection for a person. The Savannah cat recognizes only one person as its owner. The owner is its for the end of its life. The cat has a hard time with separation, and even more so with a change of its owner. To say that these cats are smart is an understatement. The cat is ready to learn any trick or memorize the owner's command at any moment. Despite the malleability, the Savannah cat prefers to be a leader in relations with other animals. Also, since it's very energetic and descended from the serval, the cat has endless energy and must necessarily spend it somewhere. Of the interesting things about these creatures, one can tell about their ears, which can turn 180 degrees. Also, these cats can also jump 20 feet long. Sulamov dog. This is the name of a Russian hybrid between a jackal and a Nenets herding Laika, bred by Klim Sulamov in 1983. It's said that it was bred by the order of the government. Representatives of this hybrid are characterized by strong and muscular body, small size, and strong paws. Ears are similar to those of a wolf, with pointed ends. Nose is black. Eyes are brown with a shade of amber. Wool has thick undercoat. It's short and stiff, thanks to which the hybrid is not afraid of temperature fluctuations from -94 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Tail is thick and fluffy, twisted into a ring. The main advantage of the Sulamov dog, which is the reason why its breeding was started in the first place, is considered to be its great sense of smell. Already at the age of 2 months, puppies can find objects that others, even adult bloodhound breeds, will not be able to find. These dogs are incredibly energetic and not angry. In ordinary life, in fact, they do not differ in any way from common dogs. Of the interesting things, in order for the Sulamov dog not to lose interest in its work, in absence of contraband, it's given pads. Of course, I would also be offended if I couldn't find anything when my nose is good to find anything. Wolfen. Scientists experiment not only in terms of land animals, but also do not forget about underwater animals. Thus, one of their unusual works was the breeding of a hybrid between a dolphin and an orca. They named it a wolfen. The presentation of this animal caused a stir in the press and in the world of zoologists, as people couldn't imagine that such a mating is even possible. Despite the positive outcome, the baby managed to live only 200 days. Scientists decided not to despair and didn't stop there. The second wolfen was a female that appeared in America in 1985. She was named Kikaimalu, which means from the calm ocean in Hawaiian. She was born in captivity as a result of accidental mating. A male false killer whale weighing 1,984 pounds mated with a female common bottlenose dolphin whose weight was 440 pounds. But more surprisingly, this wolfen was able to procreate. Who knows, maybe the unusual creatures, which people have bred artificially, will eventually fill seas and oceans. I think scientists should make the right conclusions and triple analyze who and with whom they'll crossbreed. Otherwise, imbalance and chaos in the oceans, as well as in the animal world as a whole, will not be avoided. Zebroid. The name of this creature sounds like it's not from our planet, but from somewhere else, from other galaxies, or like it's a robot instead of a living creature. Nevertheless, we'll leave the cyborg horse for another time, but now let's look at the real miracle. These are creatures that are a hybrid offering of zebras and other representatives of the equine family. Sometimes they can even be divided into additional groups. It all depends on which animal will be the mom and which animal will be the dad. There are, for example, zorses and zonies, but that's another story. No matter how they're called, the essence remains the same. We have a unique animal that was born after a mare and a male zebra were left alone in a closed space. A zebroid is more similar to its mother, which is a female horse. And from the zebra, this animal took an unusual color. Scientists do not yet understand why, but often zebroids are born quite weak and underdeveloped. But don't write them off and think that you can do anything you want with them. On the contrary, zebroids took an aggressive and assertive character from their father, so it's better not to mess with them. Also, in nature, you can encounter the result of mating a zebra mom and a stallion dad or a donkey. Anyway, all these creatures have one thing in common. They grow under the careful supervision of people. We use them in a variety of ways, mostly as riding and pack transportation. These modernized horses are especially popular in Africa. Tsetse flies do not take them for some reason. The only nuance, which no one has managed to correct so far, is a bad temper. Coy wolf. Although wild wolves and coyotes are fairly close relatives, long ago they followed different evolutionary paths and behaved differently. Thus, crossbreeding these species allows scientists to get a whole new hybrid with a lot of advantages, which primarily include the ability to hunt in packs like wolves do, as well as adapt to urban conditions like coyotes do. Unlike most other cases, the crossbreeding occurred naturally. Humans were involved, but only indirectly. They cut down forests and reduced populations of both. Failing to find worthy mating candidates, coyotes and wolves chose each other and formed a new hybrid. People took the resulting genome for study and realized that it had 1/4 wolf genes and 2/3 coyote genes. The rest of the genome belongs to large dog breeds like German Shepherd dogs and Doberman Pinschers. Coywolves weigh about 44 pounds and live in their native wild forests. They have powerful jaws and hunt perfectly in packs. It's believed that one coywolf is able to catch a deer and a whole pack can knock down an adult moose. It's noteworthy that coywolves even have a hybrid voice. At first, they make wolf sounds at low frequencies and then switch to yapping like coyotes. Cow zebra. So what's this? Did people crossbreed a cow with a zebra? Don't panic and say that it's too much. In fact, there was no such thing as crossbreeding here. Farmers accidentally discovered a life hack that helps both them and the animals themselves, giving delicious milk. During experiments, people concluded that if stripes are drawn on the cow's body, insects will bite it 50% less often. Not believing their luck, they took 6 other cows and painted them the color of zebras. The 7th was left without stripes, the way it was from birth. With the help of a camera, researchers recorded all the reactions of the cows to bites and came to the conclusion that the animals painted with stripes suffered less from insects. According to scientists, this way of protecting livestock can be a safe alternative to the use of pesticides. Jaglion. A hybrid between a jaguar and a lioness. What could be better? One is known for its amazing speed and ability to fight tactically. The other is a great fighter and a pride, and is a good mother. By mixing these two wildcats, scientists have come to the discovery of a new animal, a jaglion. They were first recorded in 2006, and it happened spontaneously at the request of the animals themselves. Representatives of this hybrid reach about 9 feet in length, weigh more than 330 pounds, and have the best features of their parents. In addition to hybrid animals, albinos also stand out from the rest of the animals. And now I'm going to show you some of the rarest of them all. Albino elephant. Did you know that the Thais have a special superstition associated with the white elephant? It's customary for them that if you see one in person, it will be regarded as a happy omen. For example, the locals never use these animals in any kind of warfare. Elephants can only be used in religious and royal ceremonies. People in Thailand today react to the white elephant just as they did centuries ago. They immediately report that they found a white elephant to the appropriate department of the Bureau of the Royal Household. The commission of experts then carefully examines the animal and determines whether it has any special characteristics. These include white eyes, palate, nails, hair, tail, and a white or clay-colored skin. All of these are matched, then the animal is elevated to the status of royal elephants. Other nations consider the white elephant a symbol that the monarch rules the state fairly and wisely, which means that the state is blessed with peace and prosperity. With such good news, not so long ago, people encountered this baby elephant. It happened in the western part of Myanmar. The animal reportedly possesses 7 of the 8 auspicious characteristics of white elephants. I wonder if that'd be enough to classify it as a royal animal in Thailand. The rarest gorilla. Hardly any of you would imagine that there could have been a rare and unique gorilla in the world, but fortunately there was. I'm talking about a handsome creature named Snowball, whose uniqueness lay in the fact that he was an albino. The zoo in Barcelona welcomed Snowball in 1996 after he was caught in Equatorial Guinea and transported to Spain. After being seen by the locals, the albino became a favorite of the city. The gorilla was a subspecies of the western lowland gorilla, was well behaved in public, didn't get nervous, and liked to be fed with yogurt. Whether it was his unique body or such a warm attitude, but something of this definitely paid off. and Snowball lived for about 40 years, which is a real record for monkeys with such an anomaly. In 2003, the public favorite was euthanized. Anyone could come and say goodbye to the gorilla. They had to do it because the albino gorilla was suffering from an unusual form of skin cancer. Scientists think the disease developed precisely because he was an albino. After Snowball passed away, his cage was left empty with the blinds always down. There's always a bouquet of flowers, and there's a sign with the inscription, "We love you and we'll remember you." And that's about it. Write in the comments which place surprised you the most. Look for more useful information in other videos.